Yeah. Yeah, this is a beauty. Oh, hey. How you doing, fellas? It's your boy Meta, coming to you from the Metaverse, wrestling representing SPW, Singapore Pro Wrestling, and you're watching Wrestle Geeks.
Welcome, everybody. This is Wrestle Geeks recaps for AEW and NXT. I want to start by apologizing for the Impact video being late. Something happened came to the PC. It's unfortunate, but we will get it up. If it's not already up, we will get it up. Today, I'm joined by Bill Gilbert, who is a new co-host for us, who's going to be doing NXT and AEW coverage with me and Jeff. Jeff is not here at the moment. He could be joining our call at any moment. We will see. Top-notch stuff here, guys. We're really organized. You were telling me a quick little story about local, about WWE event that you had went to recently.
Yeah.
Or recently, well, the last one you went to.
Yeah, it was actually the last show we had here in Sacramento. We were treated to the wonder that was Hell in a Cell 2019. And I've gone to plenty of wrestling shows over the years, and I had never seen a cage match live. I'd never seen a Hell in a Cell match live, anything like that. So this was going to be like a massive thing for me, and it was headlined by Seth Rollins versus The Fiend, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be great."
Yeah.
I have never heard an audience boo so loud. 14,000 people, all completely disappointed.
Oh, I mean, man, I had to tune in and watch it. Like, I wasn't watching WWE at the time. I was purely in the AEW camp at that point.
Oh yeah, AEW chants. Just yeah.
Oh, I can imagine. But like, I tuned in to watch that because it was of the when you hear about the train wreck,
right?
And you live like 3 blocks down, and you're like, oh, that's not too far away.
It was funny because that pay-per-view happened not too long before AEW debuted on TNT. So if anything else, they just kind of steered a lot more viewership that way.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. Now, something I've never said on the channel, and I don't think a lot of even my friends in the business know this, but I have never been to a WWE event.
Whew.
I have never been. Honestly, my first indie show was like 7 years ago. I think 7 years ago was my first indie show. And like, I had been in and out of love with wrestling multiple times throughout my life, so. But that's the thing that completely rekindled me and made me dive from there. I've fallen, like, I've rabbit holed into so many different categories and genres and eras of wrestling since then, so.
Yeah, well, it's funny because there's a few little indie companies here in town. One of them being SPW, Supreme Pro Wrestling, where guys like John Morrison trained there, Jeff Cobb trained there,
Okay.
Reno Scums come out of there. Like all of these big names that have just come out of here and gone on to do big things and never mentioned this town at all. Timothy Thatcher, actually, a notable guy to come out of SPW. One of my good friends actually trained at SPW with Timothy Thatcher. He was the not best man. He was one of the guys at my friend's wedding.
Oh, wow. Oddly enough, the intro for this video is a shout out that was done by my friend Meta, who is a pro wrestler from Singapore who wrestles for SPW, Singapore Pro Wrestling. I love how that happened.
I guess you can copyright the name, not the initials, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I know like 3 different new, and maybe like, oh my god, how many different NEWs have I heard, and UCWs or UWC, like so many. Letters get reused all the time.
Well, UWF is a big one. Yeah. There's a lot of
A
names
lot of
being
letters get
stolen.
used all the time. It's just the letters.
Right. Right.
So, we're going to be recapping AEW Dynamite for February 10th, as well as we're going to be recapping Vengeance Day, NXT TakeOver. But we're going to start with Dynamite.
Yes.
So, first match of the night is Darby Allin versus Joey Janela. And right off the bat, Darby focuses on Joey's arm a lot in this match. But Joey is able to reverse at some point. I think the highlight of the match is like when Joey reverses a coffin drop into a suplex, a German suplex. It was great. I loved it. But eventually, Darby does hit the. Eventually, Darby does get the win by hitting the coffin drop. And this match surprised me because it had a lot of chain wrestling at first, and then they mixed in the high flying in between it all. It was really cool.
I bet as soon as they started doing all the mat wrestling, Jim Cornette just had a cornea, like like coronary. Just, oh my God, Joey Janela actually knows how to wrestle.
Oh, great!
Yeah, it's one of those things with Darby Allin. He's been in the indie scene for so long. I've seen his name through a bunch of like California indies and stuff like that. I've never gotten a chance to see him live, but everything I've seen from him, I'm so impressed. He's got a bright future coming through, and obviously they weren't going to switch the title right now.
No. But it was an amazing showing, and I mentioned on me and Jeff's weekend talk that I'd watched GCW Fight Forever. Joey Janela fought this kid called Everett Connors, and after the match, Janela's like, "Man, you woke something up in me. Like I've been on like, I've been daydreaming. Like I've been sleepwalking for the past year. Like you just reignited it. My passion's back."
I was
it was great.
I was really hoping that they were going to do more with those vignettes from last year with Janela and Sonny Kiss when they first paired them together. The personality being shown in those vignettes and those little things with them in the car driving from Jersey down to Florida and all that stuff. It was phenomenal. And then they just kind of let Janela and Sonny Kiss just stagnate. Sonny Kiss has progressed so far in the business, and Janela, being the veteran of the team, has so much to teach. I really wanted more out of that, but I guess Sonny's hurt now, so Janela's doing his own thing, and of course Janela's got GCW to look out for. So
yes, and that's the thing too. Like he's not as he's involved in GCW, but I think his match with Everett Connors was kind of a passing of the torch. Like I don't think he's going to be wrestling in GCW, in the same caliber.
Well, yeah.
And now GCW apparently has a deal with WWE, similar to Evolve. Really? I've heard that recently. I have yet to like really go out of my way to confirm it, but apparently that's a thing.
Well, like with the signing of Blake Christian and all of that, the signings that they've been making over the last couple of days, it wouldn't surprise me. Mm-hmm. But that does come off as a little bit of a shocker. Because GCW is nowhere near as polished as some of the like Progress or Evolve or any of these other companies that they've been scooping up recently.
Of course not. I mean, mind you, that's his charm, but
right.
After this match, we got a promo from Moxley, and he's holding up the. For me, like the only reason why I care about this promo is just the fact that he has the US IWGP title in his hands during the promo.
Right.
That's like, oh my god, so it's surreal to see that on Dynamite.
Well, Mox has been a definite high point of this last year for AEW.
Absolutely.
His promos have been phenomenal. Everything he says, you believe. It's kind of weird to see him and Jake Roberts on the same show because they give off a very similar energy. Like late 80s, early 90s, Jake Roberts and John Moxley are like kindred spirits.
Kind of, yeah. I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of Jake the Snake. A lot of his promos to me right now are a little too rambly.
Oh, right now, definitely. But like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But like, yeah, Jake back in the day had some great promos, and Moxley, that's one of the guys that definitely Moxley took inspiration from.
Mm-hmm.
Our second match of the night is a tag team match with Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson taking on Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi. So, for people who don't know, the lead up for this match was primarily built on Dark. Peter Avalon's did a walk off against Lee Johnson. He was looking at for somebody to compete in a modeling contest essentially. Peter lost against Lee, and Bononi came out to just trash him. And I guess after Avalon and Cody's match from last week, and Lee being a student of the Nightmare Factory, Cody took it upon himself to take Lee as his partner to take on Avalon and Bononi.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So Lee Johnson gets the win on Peter Avalon by dodging the martinis and then rolling him up. But the dodge was perfect, like really well timed actually. I didn't see it coming. And also, Cody kind of just got ragdolled by Bononi for half of this match. Like, Cody just made Bononi look impressive for the most part.
Definitely. The only thing that hurt this match for me was the fact that you knew Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi weren't going to win.
Yeah.
There was no real competition in this match. I personally, because they've been doing this great story on Dark since the breakup of the Brandon Cutler Peter Avalon tag team, of Brandon Cutler going on a series of wins and Peter Avalon going on a series of wins. I honestly would have rather seen Peter Avalon pick up the win over Lee Johnson, and then in a one-on-one match have Lee Johnson beat him on Dynamite, because that to me would have felt a little bit more. Exactly. It would have meant a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. He does announce that he's part of the Nightmare family now. I'm not really sure what that even means at this point. I'll be honest. And then
no clue.
Aaron Solo, I believe, is the other one. They also announced
Mr. Bailey.
Yeah. They were a tag team on Dark. I'm pretty sure they've tagged on Dark multiple times, and they've done really good and almost gotten wins a few times. So makes sense to me to put them together. Keep them together, I should say.
Yeah.
After this, we get the backstage segment with. After this, we got a couple backstage segments, but the first one is the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers. And this is when the Young Bucks straight up tell them, like, if you guys didn't get involved, it would have been you and us at the pay-per-view, title for title. And they're just like, yeah, but ratings and we just wanted to like get one over on Private Party because they're number one contenders for our belts. So we weren't really thinking about you guys. We were kind of just out there to screw with them. That makes it fine. It makes sense. It's furthering along that storyline. I don't know how do you feel about the Bucks and Good Brothers, the Kenny Omega, the whole Bullet Club storyline?
So I'm enjoying it, but I don't know if I'm just enjoying it for the nostalgia factor or if I'm actually enjoying it. I've been a fan of Gallows and Anderson for years now, and the little antics and shenanigans that they get up to. The Young Bucks are probably one of, if not the best tag team in professional wrestling. I don't think that the characters are clicking as well as they'd hoped right now.
Yeah. It feels a little awkward, but I think they're kind of, I feel like they're trying to show us that the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers kind of were never really that similar in the first place.
Right.
I think that's kind of what they're trying to establish. Like they were friends and they hung out, and when the Young Bucks were younger, yeah, they do those like the dick and fart jokes the way they do and whatever. But now they're like, we're dads, we're older, we don't want to do that stuff. We're Christian.
Yeah. Christian AF.
Yeah, exactly.
The storyline between the Bucks and Omega is a lot more intriguing to me, especially with Don Callis being interjected in that, because Don Callis, even back as the Jackal in '97, phenomenal on the mic. So he's got a way of drawing people into a story. So the stuff with Omega and the Bucks, I find a lot more interesting, and Gallows and Anderson just kind of feel like they're there. And I think that having a little bit more of an intensity and less like screwing around on their part would help that a lot more.
See, that's what I like though. When I watch Impact, I feel like they're a little bit more business, but when I watch AEW, they don't give a shit.
Right. And I mean, you look at the three-way promo between Gallows and Anderson, Sabin and Storm, and Private Party on Impact a couple weeks ago, and like the intensity that they had in that when everyone was trying to stake a claim for the titles, but there's no stakes for Gallows and Anderson in AEW, so they don't care.
To me, I think, yeah, I can understand how you feel that way. I'm hoping that they're just trying to maybe subtly convey that like the Good Brothers just don't perceive the Young Bucks as a threat.
Yes.
And I truly you could sell me on that pretty easy. The Good Brothers
definitely
don't think they are.
Definitely, but like with the addition of New Japan now into like the forbidden door being opened, when are Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa going to show up? That's what I'm waiting for.
I know. I can't wait either. I can't wait for that. It's not happening on TNT. That's for sure. Because the amount that they had to edit when the Young Bucks and the others, the Good Brothers, yeah, their match against Dark Order. That's what I was trying to think of. Dark Order was their opponents.
Yes.
Yeah. When they did that, apparently they had to cut and edit and do they had to move the camera because they're doing
sexual references, marijuana references.
Oh yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
It was hilarious to me. I'll be honest. I really enjoyed it all. Like when he comes out and he swings that belt around, like I'm just laughing. I love it.
Yeah. I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see at maybe Bound for Glory this year, the Bucks coming over to Impact, or maybe one of the New Japan shows, Wrestling Dontaku or something like that, having all three teams.
I mean, Rebellion is far, but not too far.
Yeah, it's a little over a month, right?
Yeah, and Impact has the Omega. Like, it's always had... People are like, oh, the star and the Rebellion logo. The star has always been in the Rebellion logo.
Yes.
It's always been there. But the Omega symbol in the Rebellion logo, on the other hand, yes. That is obviously new.
Right.
But... Yeah, so we know Kenny Omega's going to be back for Rebellion. That might be a good place to do some of this blow off stuff, or to further along some of the storylines for this stuff.
Well, that's in my opinion, that's got to be where Omega takes the TNA title. I mean, that's the Impact title. Sorry, because
Yeah,
this belt collector gimmick that he's got, for me, he's got to actually collect the belts for that, and so he's got to take the Impact title.
I agree, but I need to actually see that AAA title.
Oh, definitely.
Like he needs to come out with that belt in hand. I see Lio Rush on MLW holding both belts. Why can Kenny Omega not hold his AAA belt?
Right.
Like, he defended it after the pandemic started against Sammy at some point. So
didn't he defend it against Phoenix?
I believe he did defend it against Phoenix at some point. Was that on Dark?
No, it was on Dynamite.
Yeah, that one was on Dynamite. Okay. Oh wait, no, that was the AEW title. I mean the AAA title.
Yeah, no. Very early on in Dynamite's run, before they even had like the TNT title and stuff, I believe Omega defended the AAA Mega Championship against either Phoenix or Penta. I can't remember which.
Okay, I remember him defending it against Jack Evans. I remember it defending against Sammy. I did not remember the other one. But
I may be completely wrong. I don't know.
Man, we're on air right now, and I don't feel like Googling it, so we'll see which one of us is right later. We'll see which one of us is right later. Don't worry about it.
Works for me.
Next, we go to Hangman and Matt Hardy. This promo was great. Hangman's being interviewed. Matt Hardy comes out and invites him for a drink. He says, "It's all on me. You don't have to pay for a thing," which is, of course, the magic words that gets Hangman in.
Right.
As Hangman's leaving for the bar, oh man, I love this part with Dark Order. John Silver's playing it like that jealous, like, trying to not be hurt ex-girlfriend, or like the girl you just tried to let down softly. I love it. So good. And then you have Anna Jay in the back just being like stern-faced, looking at him like, you did this to them.
Well, that's so with BTE, like everything that the Dark Order touches in BTE has been gold. So stupendous, and I'm really enjoying the character that's being shown by John Silver, the subtle hints of Anna Jay trying to like essentially stage a coup and take over the group without since Brody's gone. Right. And then Alan Angels being the one person that's actually doing anything right, but completely getting shit on by everyone else.
Yeah. Man, I feel like I think everybody's called it. Like, -1 has to be the one to ask Hangman, like, you need to take care of Dark Order for me until I'm ready to come back and claim what's mine.
Yeah.
Right? Like, everybody knows that's how it's going to end. And it doesn't matter if we all know that's how it's going to end, because that's the right story to tell.
Well, that's one of the things that leads me to think that the Bucks and the Good Brothers are going to start getting along, because I need Adam Page to be the one to take the belt off of Kenny Omega. And so if you have Hangman Page leading the Dark Order against Kenny Omega and his reformed Bullet Club, the story just writes itself.
It does. And with fans back in now, and with possibility of Blood and Guts is a possibility now.
Definitely.
It could actually happen within the next year. But the second part of this is when Hangman is at the bar with Matt. I'm just going to jump to it now instead of talking about it later. But Matt's trying to get Hangman drunk to sign a contract. He's recording it. And I didn't notice this at first. I heard somebody mention it on a talk show, and I was like, "Wait, what?" But Hangman swapped the contract
Yeah, he throws the one that Matt gave him to the side behind the bar and pulls one out from inside, which, by the way, I believe is one of the rolls of paper he used in the Brody Lee tribute show.
Oh my God.
And pulls it out and unrolls it and then signs that and hands it back to Matt.
I must have looked down the moment he did it because I didn't see it. I had to go back and watch it. I was like, oh my God. Because I was like, oh no, oh no. And then after hearing that, now I'm just intrigued.
Right. What did he sign? What did he? And the thing that made me question it was the fact that not only did Adam Page sign it, he says Matt Hardy forgot to sign it and has Matt sign it without reading it himself. So what did Adam Page just make Matt Hardy sign?
Exactly. I can't wait to find out. I'm excited for that. Match 3, we have the Bastard Pack versus Ryan Nemeth. And Nemeth gets a little bit of offense in as he has been, but like, man, Pack just like tore him apart bit by bit. Like, absolutely insane. I loved it.
Oh yeah, this is one of those matches where you knew who wasn't going to win, who was going to win, and it didn't matter because it was still a highly entertaining match because Pac is one of the best, and with Ryan Nemeth being Dolph Ziggler's little brother, he's going to sell his ass off for whoever he's bumping for. So it's just going to be a highly entertaining match, no matter what formula you throw it into.
Yeah, and honestly, he's almost as good as his brother is at selling. It's ridiculous.
Definitely.
After this, we got a little promo with Miro, Kip, best friends, and it really just amounts to Miro, Kip, and Penelope being really angry, and best friends toasting while going, "What did you think was going to happen?" Of course, Orange Cassidy came out of the cake.
Well, I just love that Orange Cassidy coming out of the cake was a throwback to Rusev popping out of Lashley and Lana's cake. Yeah, it was almost the exact same moment, almost the exact same cake, everything, and so it was just a perfect little like jab at WWE.
Mm-hmm. Overall, the wedding segment thing for me was just fun. It was comical. I get what they were doing. It was very satirical.
Oh, I hate them, but they are definitely a guilty pleasure of mine. So it's like I groan every time a wedding is announced, but I still watch and laugh and enjoy myself and slightly hate myself for enjoying myself.
One of our local guys did one with he did an in-show wedding with his wife. Like he's a bigger name wrestler here, Marcus Burke. He did an actual in-ring wedding as part of a show where his wife was kidnapped. Like they had gotten married earlier in the day, I believe. It was earlier that day, but still, like, that was hilarious. Like it's cool, it's fun, it's interesting, and it's the only time she's ever been involved. One of the few times she's been involved in a match. She's done a handful of things since then, but it took a few years of convincing.
We need to do a run back of the Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. Just get someone's wife up on a forklift, and we'll see how that goes.
Oh my God, that idea alone. Next, we get Sammy coming into the Inner Circle room with a camera crew. He finally confronts MJF, asks everybody else to leave, and everybody else is like looking at MJF to make sure it's okay first, which that caught me a little off guard. I thought Sammy still had at least one friend in that room, but man. And then of course, MJF prods and pokes Sammy until he says out loud the words, "I'm trying to take over the Inner Circle. I hate Chris Jericho." Essentially.
Yes.
Makes it quite obvious that he was recording, and then takes a punch in the gut, shows up for his match later with his ribs completely taped.
Yes, which is a perfect heel move.
Oh yeah. And he sold the rib injury so intently. You know he's lying. Doesn't
Oh
have
yeah.
a broken rib. Like, he doesn't have it, but he's selling that injury the entire match versus the Acclaim. Like, oh, which Jericho and MJF versus Acclaim was very good.
It was probably the best acclaimed match I've seen. I haven't been too high on these guys. I saw them. I saw them on Dark. I saw them when they transitioned over to being on Dynamite, and
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the gimmick. I loved the Young Bucks calling them John Cena wannabes, essentially.
Yes.
All of that, but they're talented in-ring workers. They just don't click for me. But this was definitely their best match. And the saddest thing about it was it was a heel versus heel match. And I can't help but root for Jericho and MJF in this scenario.
I mean, that's kind of what they wanted you to do instantly, right? They're number one contenders anyway.
True.
But no, honestly, Acclaim are on fire. Max Caster, I don't know which one of them, or if it's both of them that are writing these disses, but like they're good. They're really good.
Oh, they're funny. They're
Like,
funny. I'm it's not connecting with me.
well, no, yeah, if it's not really my style of music for the most part. I have a very very tasty, like I like all kinds of music, but usually it's like a handful of bands or a handful of artists per genre kind of thing, right? So
Right.
so after the match we have Sammy coming out and he quits Center Circle. He tells Jericho he's done because of MJF and he's done with all the bullshit. As he's leaving the building, he tells Alex Marvez, I think it was Marvez, that he just needs a break. He needs time away from this place. Now, we got reports, and I went into it on Impact last night, on the Impact reporting, and I want to hear your opinion on this, but what did you hear about the Impact and Sammy Callahan situation? Sammy Guevara situation.
So I heard that Sammy was using this quitting Inner Circle, needing time away thing as a way to kind of jump to Impact for an angle or two before coming back to AEW, and that he showed up in Nashville for the tapings and everything that was going on, but he wasn't necessarily a fan of the creative that he was given.
Okay.
So he essentially told them no.
Okay. So,
and yeah.
So here's the report I have for it.
Mm-hmm.
The report I have is that when this was pre-agreed upon between Impact and AEW for a little bit now. This has been in the works. Yeah. Now, through AEW, Sammy agreed to the storyline that Impact gave.
Okay.
Then started giving pushback with his own. He's like, I don't like that story. How about we do this? Like, I don't know if it was tweaks or if it was completely different ideas.
Right.
But they couldn't come to an agreement on creative. Now, the moment that broke the straw was when. So Sammy was supposed to show up for the Impact TV tapings the day before the tapings.
Right.
He changed his flight himself without telling anybody, apparently, or only telling people at the last second, maybe, that he was only going to be showing up a few hours before the tapings and not the day before.
Right.
So Scott D'Amore is a no-nonsense kind of guy.
Definitely.
So Scott D'Amore, being him, this is how if I was him, I'd be like, so you told us we were good on creative. Then we're not good on creative, so we need to come up with something. So you were going to be here the day before, so we could have sat down face to face, worked something out. Now you're giving me a few hours to figure out what you want me to do for a TV taping with you, and we don't even have any kind of agreement on what we're going to use you for in the storyline? No, you can go home. I don't need you.
Yeah, I also heard that that a majority of that conversation wasn't between Scott D'Amore and Sammy. It was actually Scott D'Amore and Don Callis talking with Tony Khan and Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
And I believe I saw that Jericho was the one that had to text Sammy and tell him, just go home.
Yeah. Well, basically what happened is, like, AEW wasn't aware of how much pushback Sammy was giving,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe giving the pushback on creative wasn't a problem. Maybe
Yeah.
it really was just, like, in my opinion, like, I write storylines for promotion, and that would be seen as very irresponsible in my eyes. I'm like, we don't have a clear-cut defined story for what we're doing with you. We need time to work on this. Why are
Right.
you giving us less time?
Right.
So I don't think it's going to hurt Impact and AEW going forward, personally.
Well, no, that's one of the things that's been said is, like, the initial heat. So the only real heat backstage from any of this is from Impact Brass towards Sammy, because I saw something today that said Impact wrestlers were even saying, no, that was the creative that they were trying to give him was something Sammy should have turned down. And
There you go.
and I agree, he handled it the wrong way. He should have given them more time to come up with something different. But the heat backstage from AEW was just kind of a, why would you do this and screw up our relationship with Impact Wrestling? But
Potentially,
Scott D'Amore and Tony Khan have both come out and said everything's cool between the two companies. So there's no real heat backstage from AEW, and it's the backstage brass from Impact that's got the real problem with Sammy at this point.
yeah, this is not the first time his ego has caused them issues, if I'm not mistaken. No. And I love Sammy Guevara, I really do. But
yeah, he's got a bright future. He just needs to mature up a little bit.
Yeah, you got to be careful what you say and who you say to.
Yeah.
Next, we get the Sting segment where Team Taz takes Darby Allin after his match with Joey Janela, puts him in a body bag, and then Taz drives off in his truck, bringing it behind him. And I got to ask you, do you think Darby was actually in the body bag or not?
I do.
Yeah,
I do think he was in the body bag because, for one, Darby Allin is absolutely insane, but also I heard the plastic of, like, one of those tortoiseshell things that he could be laying on, dragging on the concrete behind underneath him. So yeah, but I think this was also hurt by the fact that Darby Allin did this exact same spot in one of his promo videos leading up to his match against I want to say Ricky Starks.
I think it was Ricky Starks. It's when he was doing a bunch of vignettes at some point with the big dive, and then at some point he had Tony Hawk with him. And yeah. Man, I agree. But one reason, like, my wife looked at me and she's like, "There's no way he was actually in that." I'm like, "Well, Big Show rode a casket in real life." Like, that actually happened. He really did ride a casket while Boss Man drove a hearse away.
Yeah.
So never put anything past wrestlers.
Well, that's one of the examples I point to anytime someone says, "I want to bring the Attitude Era back." Remember Big Show riding a casket? Remember the Undertaker hanging the Big Boss Man? Like,
oh God. I am not a fan of the Attitude Era overall. It has good stuff, don't get me wrong, but
oh yeah. I'm just saying, you gotta take the ups with the downs.
Absolutely. I mean, that's Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
So next we get Kenny Omega on the golf course with Alex Marvez saying he doesn't need to focus, he doesn't need to train, he just needs to focus on his spirituality and meditation and whatnot. And the whole time you can see Callis in the background grabbing the ball and putting it in the hole. And Kenny's just like, watch this. Hole, I got it in, right? I got it in. And Callis is like, yeah. I love it.
These two can do no wrong at this point. I mean, the pairing of Don Callis and Kenny Omega is just absolutely superb.
And this is just Don Callis being Don Callis, and this is just Kenny
Right.
Omega being Kenny Omega. They're not doing anything special. They're just being themselves together.
Right. And that's what's beautiful about it. It's like these are two guys that have known each other for 20 years that are just goofing
Kenny's
around and being
life.
themselves. Yeah.
Essentially Kenny's entire life. Like, insane. The fifth match is part of the Women's Elimination Tournament. It's the first match of the American bracket. We get Thunder Rosa versus Layla Hirsch. And this was crazy good. I loved it.
Insane. Both of these women are insanely talented. Both of these women are definite like top tier competitors in the AEW women's division, which has really been hurting for talented women until recently.
WWE has swiped everybody out when it comes to women.
Right. NXT has probably the strongest women's division in the world, and AEW has been hurting because of it. And so seeing someone like legit Layla Hirsch and Thunder Rosa having a knockdown, drag out, physical, technical match like they had this week was so good, so refreshing.
Yeah, and to me, like Hirsch, it's been a little hit or miss in AEW so far.
Mm-hmm.
But she's doing great, and in this match, she looks like a mini Lesnar.
Well, I've been personally thinking for weeks now they need to start bringing her in towards Team Taz, because she would be a perfect fit with Taz and Ricky Starks and Brian Cage.
And like I believe Excalibur and Taz like made one or two lines. It's like said one or two lines on Dark at some point when she was wrestling, and it's like that's how Ricky Starks started. Was just one or two throwaway lines on commentary. So you never know. But the finish is all right. Hirsch stops the Thunder Driver with an armbar, but Thunder Rosa is able to eventually throw her to the outside. And the moment she rolls back in, she takes advantage and actually plants her with the driver this time for the win. So Thunder Rosa will be advancing, which is no surprise.
No.
Like the American finals are going to be Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It can't be anybody else.
I don't see anyone else.
Yeah, I want it. I can't wait for it. It's going to be great. And then we'll see who's on the Japanese side. I'm not doing the coverage for the first round, the Japanese bracket on this episode. I'm going to be doing that on next week's episode. We have Vengeance Day on this episode as well, so a little too much already.
Right.
But I did watch it, and it was great.
I have not watched it yet, so.
Okay. Next week, a Jungle Boy interview, which really this is just to put over his win with Dax Hardwood.
Yes.
That's all it was.
I enjoy him stepping out on his own a little bit more lately. He's showing a little bit more personality. He's showing a little bit more of what people can get behind, as opposed to just being that silent kid from Jurassic Express.
Yeah, I'm fine with a slow build. Give me a slow build for him. Like, slow builds work in wrestling. I mean,
definitely.
It's called Kazuchika Okada and Tetsuya Naito. Like,
right.
Hello. Slow burns totally work.
Kota Ibushi, his entire run since coming back to New Japan, it's just been build and build and build and build, and look at where he's at now.
Exactly. Which we should have a New Japan episode up this Friday where we're covering New Japan Strong, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the main storylines happening in the actual Japanese part of New Japan. Stay tuned for more information about that. Thank you for giving me a segue there, man.
Hey.
So, our main event is an unsanctioned Falls Count Anywhere tag match between Kenny Omega, Kenta, versus Jon Moxley and Lance Archer. And having the briefcase, having the belt, having, like, I don't know why Lance Archer's here, I'll be honest, and I don't care. I'm happy he's here. Like, I was wondering, I'm like, why is Lance Archer teamed with Moxley? It doesn't make sense to me. And then I'm like, the match starts, and I instantly stopped caring why he was there, and I'm just happy he was. He was built like a legit, like, he was built up to be an actual monster threat in this match.
Well, if you go back to Wrestle Kingdom 2020,
Yeah.
Mox beat Archer for the title.
Yep.
And so there is a little bit of a reason for Archer to be in the match, but I don't know why he's on the side of Jon Moxley other than the fact that, hey, I'm a good guy now. He's a good guy. Let's take on the bad guys. Like, I mean, that's a little weird for me, but
I would have liked to have had a promo or like at least a little throwaway line from Archer at some point, just being like, he took that title off of me, and Kenta's not going to come in here and take it. It's mine.
Right. That would make more sense. Or even just setting up the fact that Archer wants to come after Kenny and his title would make a lot more would make sense. We just needed something from Archer to solidify why he's in this spot.
Yeah. I did love it. Everybody loved the segment where they went backstage, I assume. A lot of people really enjoyed the backstage brawling part, and then of course the sack of potatoes.
Yes.
That was great. Brings a whole new meaning to being potatoed.
Right. Also new meaning to Mr. Potato Head.
Yep. So eventually, though, the Good Brothers do come out, and even Jake the Snake gets involved and hits a move and takes a bump.
It's his patented short arm clthesline on Carl Anderson.
Yeah. It almost looks like he did a Rainmaker. It wasn't great. Yeah, but then they do the tease where Kenny Omega is going to V-trigger him. Moxley comes in with the barbed wire bat, hitting Omega. After this, we get Lance Archer about to double chokeslam Omega and Kenta, but they go for a stereo low blow. And after this, you have the Good Brothers just hit Archer with the Magic Killer. They help set him up for the One Winning Angel with Kenny Omega, which even with the help, I'm surprised Kenny pulled off the rest of the moves so cleanly. And the whole time, Kenta's just outside the ring beating on Moxley.
Which makes sense.
Yes. Kenta doesn't care. He straight up said he doesn't care about AEW. He doesn't care. He just wants Moxley's belt. He literally doesn't care about anything else. He doesn't care what Kenny's doing. He doesn't really even care about being Bullet Club that much. It's more an ends to a means for him. He'll be Bullet Club because it makes him allies and gets some people to watch his back. That's about it.
I can't really blame him. I mean, it's produced results. I mean, look at what happened with Evil earlier this year, late last year. You know who you align yourself with, and that produces results. I mean, can't blame the guy at all.
No, and Bullet Club is, I don't know what it is about Bullet Club. But they have that instant, anybody can go there, and they're the next big thing.
Yes.
Oh, Jay White's next big thing, he's leader of Bullet Club. Oh, Kenta's back in New Japan, oh, he's leader of Bullet Club. Oh, Evil just turned on Naito, he's leader of Bullet Club. And meanwhile, you have Tama Tonga standing in the background going, yeah, they're the leaders.
Right. I believe Tama is the only surviving like original member at this point, right? Because
Well,
even Fale came in after Tama did, didn't he?
no. The original
No,
four.
you're right.
The original
You're right.
four was Prince Devitt, Finn Balor,
Mhm.
for the uneducated.
Yeah.
Machine Gun Carl Anderson, Bad Luck Fale, and Tamatanga. They were the
Yeah,
original four Bullet Club members.
because Fale was Anderson's heater.
Yeah. I was not watching New Japan at that time. This is all stuff I had to go learn and deep dive and.
Oh,
Yeah.
same here. Like as soon as Bullet Club started gaining traction in the United States, I was like, "What is this?" Google.
I mean, I think I only became a Bullet Club fan when Adam Cole joined. That was when Adam Cole joined was the moment where I was just like, Bullet Club? What is this? Yeah, I kind of know who the Young Bucks are, but then I was like, yeah.
Well, it was
Cole,
funny for
Nick
me
Cage.
because it was funny for me being an old school TNA fan, learning about the Bullet Club and then researching and going, "That's Generation Me. What the hell?"
What are those dorks doing there? Yeah.
Telling you these are the coolest guys in wrestling. What?
So, this is an amazing episode of Dynamite overall. I think the women's match kind of got buried because of the main event, but that's because the main event was that good. So it is what it is. When you have nothing but good quality matches on a card, your good quality matches are gonna a match is gonna slip past people's perception.
Oh yeah, we'll probably talk about that more with Takeover here in a minute. But it was one of those things.
Yes.
Like it started strong with the Darby Allin Janela match, and it finished strong with that tag team match. Everything else was really inconsequential, but it was all really good.
Exactly. I've been deep diving on Tokyo Joshi Pro recently, just a little bit, and I think like everybody who does, I've caught the Maki Ito bug. Like, yeah, Maki Ito support army all the way. Let's do it.
Well, it was funny because like I had started doing research when they announced the brackets for the AEW tournament, and I started like seeing Maki Ito's tweets and stuff like that, and I started showing them to my fiance, and she was like, "That's the one I'm rooting for."
Yeah.
Just based off the tweets, yeah. That's the one I'm rooting for.
Yeah, no. She's so cool. Like, I love it. But there's certain things that she does that I've seen other wrestlers. I'm like other female wrestlers emulate things that I'm like, oh, you got that from Maki Ito, and I now realize that. And I'm like, that's why this is not like I've seen girls do the crying spot that Maki Ito does, where she legit, instead of playing possum, she legitimately just bawls because she's an anime over the top idol anime girl,
right?
Like, hello, but yeah, so that doesn't translate as well in front of American crowds and that and when people do it, I'm like, oh, that's why it feels so weird when I've seen other people do it over here. But like we have one specific wrestler from this area. She's good. She's very good. But I am so sure that she has watched a lot of Joshi wrestling just because of the way she does her pain sounds. Just because of the way, like, how vocal she is about it and how whiny it can kind of be. So, yeah. But AEW, Tokyo Joshi Pro, some cool things happening. Impact Wrestling, NWA, like all sorts of crazy things happening.
New Japan.
But now it's time to move on to NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day, which, of course, V-Day on V-Day.
Right. I can't be the only one that was disappointed it wasn't St. Valentine's Day Massacre, right?
No, you totally weren't. I was absolutely disappointed by it wasn't Valentine's Day Massacre. Like, why not? So this card, I'm not doing the pre-show because I did not watch it. I'll be honest.
Hey, Eli Drake debuted, and I am so happy for that.
You know what? That I am happy about. Dude, I got to watch him wrestle live. And it was not the biggest. It was a decent crowd. It wasn't the biggest crowd. But that man went all out like if he was on the main event wrestling for the Impact World title. And he was wrestling for for a title in a little place that has now grown to actually be a decent sized promotion, a pretty big promotion considering. But at the time, this was the beginning of their growth, and I think he was a big part of it. So I'm a big fan of Eli Drake, and I'm happy he's on NXT because if he's going to be in WWE, at least he's on the one thing I watch.
And that's the thing. His style is so much more well suited for something like NXT or WWE than Impact or NWA, because he is a lot more character than wrestler. His in-ring is great, but his character is really what gets him over.
Even he'll tell you this. He has practically the exact same speech pattern and mannerisms as The Rock.
Yeah.
He'll even come clean about it. He's like, I don't know why, but I talk like The Rock does. They just do. I would love to have those two having a conversation together. It'd be interesting to record. But yeah, Vengeance Day. So, first match of the night is the finals for the Dusty Classic Women's Tournament. And it's Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon versus Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. So, I'm just going to, the finish is a crazy choke slam from Raquel onto Shotzi. And Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez are totally the right call for this. They're absolutely the right wrestler, like the right women. And I'm happy that they announced that they are getting a tag team title opportunity.
I actually had it going the other way.
Oh, okay.
Simply because with Nia and Shayna being the tag team champions, granted that can swap because Naomi and Lana have a title shot and blah blah blah.
Lana,
but
tag team champion,
right.
No offense to
transitional Lana. Champion, more like it. But I thought it would make more sense for Shotzi and Ember to win so that they could take the titles off of Nia and Shayna, because Nia and Shayna don't need those tag team titles. The titles just need to be completely refreshed at this point. But Raquel is on a fast track for that NXT women's title. And so having her get a tag title shot instead of building her towards the match against Io Shirai that everyone wants at this point.
I suppose.
Since Raquel pinned Io Shirai in War Games.
Yeah.
I had it going the other way.
I can kind of agree with that. But they might want to do something like they have this fascination with slapping a world like a women's title and the tag title on someone at the same time. Awesome. And they haven't done it with the NXT women's title yet.
True.
And at this point, I don't put it past them to do it. I'm 100% expecting them to do it at this point. But no, this was a really fun match overall, though. I really enjoyed it. All four women went all out, and I don't think there was a bad spot in the match.
No, and no shade thrown at Shotzi at all. The fact that every time Shotzi is in a big match, there's always that one big botch that's all over social media the next day. There wasn't one this time. It was a very solid match by all four competitors. That Doomsday Device flying crossbody off the top rope to the outside was insane.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a very entertaining match, and it was a great way to kick off the show.
Yes. So the second match of the night was the North American title match between Johnny Gargano and Kushida. And this match, man, this match was so long. I don't know if they watched the 2-hour Iron Man match from Fight Forever and they were like, oh, we can do that. Or what? But like, man, this was so long. It was insane. I did not expect it. Like
The weird thing is, it was so long, but I didn't get bored watching it.
Same. Same.
Johnny Gargano has always been such an entertaining wrestler to watch. When they first turned him heel, like I had him pegged for like that perennial underdog babyface that just somehow his scrappy heart finds a way to win. When they turned him heel, I thought it was a massive mistake. But this character that he's been developing over the last few months has been absolutely wonderful. And lumping everyone together with the way and all that, so good. And then Kushida, this is the Kushida I wanted when I found out he signed to NXT. They've been rehabbing him over the last couple of months, giving him those wins over Timothy Thatcher and stuff like that to build him back up to being this unstoppable Japanese monster. And it just the two collided perfectly.
Yes. I feel like Kushida went to NXT too early. Like, if Kushida would have held off on going to NXT, like if it would have been an option for him, I think he would have. There would have been less stop-start and less screw-ups with his launch. I mean, like it was his character. I don't think we'd have to like rebuild him to be up to the task of Gargano the way that he was for this. I think he could have been there the whole time if they would have done it right.
Yeah, probably.
But mostly it's when he joined. He joined NXT when there was a lot of turmoil, a lot of change, and a lot of uneasy, like, oh, the Cruiserweight title is now the NXT Cruiserweight title. And, you know, like, a lot of stuff was going on. There was a lot of roster shuffling. So I can understand how some people just got kind of fell between the cracks a bit.
Or literally thrown in a trash can like Kushida was.
Yeah, that's what I should have said. So Gargano does, of course, win with the springboard DDT.
So we're definitely building towards Dexter Lumis taking the title off of Johnny Gargano, right?
I can't really see anything else.
Yeah, because Lumis kidnapping Austin Theory before the match, straight up just chloroforming him, taking off to the side, which
I forgot about that.
I'm surprised we haven't had a police investigation yet.
Oh, NXT does a lot of that weird stuff sometimes.
Oh yeah. Dexter Lumis kidnapping Roderick Strong in the trunk of a car, for example. But they're clearly setting up for Dexter Lumis versus Johnny Gargano, and I would be very surprised if Dexter Lumis does not take the title.
I kind of agree. It's at that point where Gargano, he's getting to that point. The way the storyline is getting, it's kind of calling for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to say, like, there's a weird trend with faction names recently. Between like The Way and Strictly Business, Inner Circle, like there's just this weird, I don't know, there seems to be like a connecting theme that is a little bit more obvious than what wrestling faction names used to be, I guess.
Yeah. I guess you're right.
Just something I noticed. Because, like, I'm not a fan of the name The Way, per se. I'm not really a fan. Like, it works and it fits. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not, like, right. I don't really like Strictly Business when NWA was doing it. Inner Circle's okay. But, yeah, just... factions are hard to come up with good names nowadays.
I like Contra Unit in MLW.
Oh, yeah. That just works. You're right. Also, Injustice was a good one in MLW as
Yeah.
well. They're still going, but they're only 2 now, unfortunately, with what happened in Brazil. So third match. This is the finals for the Dusty Classic men's side, or men's tournament. And we had MSK versus the Grizzled Young Vets. And this is pretty much exactly what I thought it would be.
The match was definitely what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a very entertaining match. I thought it was going to be MSK trying to outquick the Grizzled Young Veterans while the Grizzled Young Veterans try to do what they do best, which is really just very physical, very, very very FTR style, no flips, just fist, even though they can do the flips as proven by Drake doing the 450.
Yeah, Drake has a lot of stuff in his wheelhouse. Like a lot of stuff in that wheelhouse of his. It's incredible.
This was another one where I was surprised by the outcome. I'm happy MSK got the win. I've been a fan of the Rascals for a little while now, but I'm very shocked that they let the Grizzled Young Veterans come to the finals of the Dusty Classic 2 years in a row and lose.
But now you got a great story for next year.
True.
That's the way I see it. Like next year, you have this like make or break story for them in the Dusty. If they don't win it, they're done.
But I was,
maybe. You know what I mean?
I was thinking that last year.
I suppose, but I feel like MSK feels like a better decision only because of who's champion right now.
True. Again,
only reason
using my logic against me for the Women's Cup, essentially.
Exactly. No, but I mean, like, I'm just thinking, like, how would I tend to come at some of these things like, how would I book it? How do I perceive? How would I perceive it? And with Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch being the tag team champions right now, I mean, feels right.
It does. The only thing I worry about, don't get me wrong, it's going to be a phenomenal match.
Yeah.
It's going to be very similar to the Grizzled Young Veterans versus MSK match.
It might be. I think it's going to be up to Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan to really make it different with their weird, unique, like the weird uniqueness that is them.
Right.
Like Oney Lorcan, like Danny Burch pumping himself up in the middle of the ring, and then Oney Lorcan just pops to his feet on the outside of the ring out of nowhere.
Right.
That stuff is great. And
also, I'm just going to throw out there, if you don't follow Oney Lorcan on Twitter, you need to. He is one of the best Twitter follows out there.
I'll be honest, I don't do Twitter. I don't at all. I do Facebook and I do like YouTube, and that's it, man. I don't know how to do
that. That's fine. I'm telling everyone out there in YouTube land, if you don't follow Oney Lorcan, you should.
The Cameron Grimes music video.
I would say shut up and take my money, but Cameron Grimes has enough of it at this point.
Exactly. Apparently. No, it was so good. It was so funny. I was just like, I was corpsing the whole time.
I never thought I would be so entertained watching a grown man dance around a pool in his underwear.
Man, you would have told me back when he was Trevor Lee on Impact that one day I'd be laughing this hard and this behind this guy. I never would have believed you.
Well, that's the thing. Like I've been a fan since the Carolina Connection, him and Andrew Everett with Matt Hardy in TNA years ago, and I never thought he would end up in WWE because at the time they were doing the 205 Live cruiserweights and all this stuff, and everything was just kind of like less than. There wasn't really this surge of the smaller guys in NXT just yet. And so when he left Impact and started doing like popping up in PWG and stuff like that, I was like, all right, good for him. Just let him keep making money off of his name and stuff like that. And then they announced that he signed with NXT, and I was like, oh, and he's been a hit since day one with me.
Yep. I mean, NXT, honestly, it's whenever I hear somebody signs to AEW to WWE, I'm just like, oh no, and because I'm like, don't go to main roster, don't go to Raw and SmackDown, don't go to Raw and SmackDown, don't go to Raw and SmackDown, because it's a very unique feel, and not a lot of guys fit in well in that place compared to NXT. But then you get people like Elias. Elias was terrible in NXT, but perfect for Raw and SmackDown.
Definitely. Baron Corbin, same thing.
Oh no, I liked Baron Corbin back in the day in NXT, man.
I was there the day that Baron Corbin got slapped in the face by Corey Taylor at a rock show here in town. It was so funny. It was a NXT title match, Baron Corbin versus Finn Balor, and Corey Taylor, because Slipknot was performing as the headliner for the show that night. Corey Taylor was sitting front row for the show.
Yeah.
And Baron Corbin starts getting into his face, and Corey Taylor just rears back and just slaps him right across the face. It was so good.
Great. No, but when Corbin had the music, and they had the Titantron, where like all the whole destroyed post-apocalyptic world and the black cloud taking everything over, and like at the entranceway as he was walking down it, I was like, how the fuck could you not love this guy? How could you not be behind this guy? Like, look at him. And he could back it up.
I think
he's a great heel. He's such a good heel. I hate him, but he's such a good heel.
Well, that was the thing. Like, I think they ruined Baron Corbin in NXT for me after the Bull Dempsey feud, and then like the whole thing with Rhino and all that.
That's when things started to go downhill.
Yeah, so I think after, like, once they ended his undefeated streak, they really should have just pulled him up to the main roster after that, because he just kind of floundered in NXT after that.
Yeah. Okay. Last thing about Baron Corbin before we get back to Vengeance Day. The Deep Six is an incredible move. I love it.
Definitely.
It's so good. But yeah, next match, the NXT Women's Triple Threat match between Io Shirai, Martina Martinez, and Toni Storm. So, I can't even with this match. There's too much. This match was too much.
Like we said with the Thunder Rosa Layla Hirsch match, this one just kind of got lost in the shuffle for me. I mean, it was a good match, but it was another one of the ones where, like, I didn't think Toni Storm or Mercedes Martinez had a shot of taking the title off of Io Shirai, so my interest just kind of waned because I was so drained after the 3 matches that came before it. This was kind of like my cool down spot.
I can understand that. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I kind of did the MSK Grizzled Young Vets as my cooldown. And for me, Gargano and Kushida is the match that kind of got slipped away a little bit for me. This one stood out more. I really liked it, but I also I women's wrestling, in my opinion, is like 70% of the time is better than men's wrestling. So
yeah,
take that however you will, internet, YouTube. Enjoy crucifying me in the comments. But no, I think it's just Io Shirai for me as well. Like, she's one of my favorite, not just like female competitors. She's one of my favorite Japanese wrestlers, Japanese-born wrestlers. Period. Probably of all time as well. So, because like I can't tell you my favorites, I have to divide them by where they were born or what promotions they worked for. I can't tell you who my favorite wrestlers are. Like Jericho. Everybody else is kind of muddy.
Right.
But,
I will say that a very interesting spot to me happened kind of early on in this match. Something that I haven't seen in a long time. where Io Shirai was going for the Acai moonsault onto Mercedes Martinez, and Mercedes Martinez just walks away, and
I loved it.
Io Shirai just goes barreling into the barricade, and I'm like, I got flashbacks of Christian versus Joe in TNA, where Christian was going for the springboard splash, and Joe just walks out of the way.
Yes.
But yeah, it was one of those things like that. Why don't more people do that? Like it's just common sense at that point.
Because it hurts.
Well, yeah.
Trust me, man.
I'm speaking as logic versus performer.
Yeah, no, I've been in the backstage watching two guys try to convince each other to take spots. It's kind of like a give and take, right? So like one guy's like, I don't know if I want to take that move. He goes, well, I'll take this for you.
Right.
So,
it's a barter system.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to watch, I will admit. It's a guilty pleasure of mine to sit in on, that's for sure. Sorry, CAW locker room. I enjoy listening to that stuff. It's hilarious. But no, this is it was an amazing match, and like you said, we all knew Io Shirai was kind of gonna win,
right?
Because everybody wants Raquel Gonzalez versus Io,
right?
But the final match of the night, NXT title, Pete Dunne versus the Prince, Finn Balor, and man, again, like this there's only 5 matches on this card.
Right.
Like there's some long matches on this card. But that's not bad. It's just there's some long matches on this card. So a lot of stuff kind of gets muddied and shuffled, especially for this one for me. Like the entire match is kind of just like one giant blur in my head.
Yeah.
That being said, it was like a roller coaster ride the entire time.
This is probably the one match in recent history I can think of where I went into it going, there's no way in hell Pete Dunne is winning this title. And about halfway through the match, I was like, Pete Dunne might be winning this. And I will say in that aspect, it really worked. It was both guys worked phenomenally. Everything was good. Everything was solid, hard hitting, very technical. But the drama and the storytelling of the match really sucked me in on this one.
I agree. It was just, I mean, Finn Balor is a master. Finn Balor is an artist in the ring. Like, I need to see Balor versus Omega again. I need to see that, like, a current day version of that. But, and then Pete Dunne. Like, Pete Dunne is a unique specimen.
I can't think of a bad Pete Dunne match.
I remember watching What Culture Pro Wrestling and having Eric Bischoff introduce Pete Dunne as the newest contender or the newest competitor in What Culture Pro Wrestling. And I'm like, who's Pete Dunne? Because I didn't really know British wrestling, which is the main reason why I was watching it.
Right.
And I have been a fan ever since. I don't know if it's I like finger spots because I also really enjoyed Marty Scurll.
Right.
But you know, I guess I just like the finger spot stuff.
Better noise on Marty Scurll's, but better execution with Pete Dunne, I think.
Yeah. I think they both. I mean, they're both very unique, and it'd be fun to see them do an actual match against each other because all the finger work would be just so unique.
Right.
But but yeah, no. Finn Balor, of course, wins. But the big talking point is what comes after the match.
Right.
And like, I'll be honest, I'm not 100% on the storyline when it comes to like where Bobby Fish would stand on this, because I know he's not there right now.
Yeah, he's injured.
And I'll be honest. Also, the Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor like respect bond friendship. Like I just I'm not big on it. I guess I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. But That super kick was incredible.
Out of this, I want to know where Roderick Strong is going to fall. I'm assuming Fish is going to side with O'Reilly because the history between the two of them goes so much deeper than Undisputed Era. Roderick Strong being the last addition to Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong kind of being this outcast from Undisputed Era because he was the only one that wasn't a major focal point of the group at any point. Yes, he was North American champion at one point, I believe.
That was
he was tag team champion.
He was tag team champion and he was North American at some point. And that was just so they could all hold the gold.
So he was never the focal point of the group. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't take a side. And we just get Adam Cole off on his own. We get Red Dragon back. And then Roderick Strong just doing Roderick Strong's thing. But I'm very interested to see where he falls in this. I am thinking that it's going to end up with a triple threat match on Mania. Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole versus Finn Balor for the NXT title.
That'd be pretty sick.
Because it's been confirmed, or not as close to confirmed as you can get, that there is going to be an NXT presence on Mania with it being 2 nights and everything. I would not. Right. So
I don't think they're going to get TakeOver this year on that weekend.
No, they didn't. They didn't last year, did they?
Yeah. No, you're right. They didn't. Shit. No, they didn't. Right.
So with the obvious story here would be to build towards Adam Cole, Finn Balor, and Kyle O'Reilly.
I agree. I feel like it's a safe play, and you're right. Bobby Fish is probably going to just stick with Kyle O'Reilly. As an old school ROH fan, I'm loving all of this because Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole being buddies in Undisputed Era has bothered me so much to my core for years. But I've just accepted it. I've just accepted it, right? Because I'm like, well, screw it. It's WWE. It's not ROH. They do their own thing, and they don't care about the continuity. It is what it is.
Well, didn't O'Reilly once beat Fish for the title at Wrestle Kingdom?
No. So Adam Cole beat Kyle O'Reilly for the title at Wrestle Kingdom.
Okay.
And what happened is Kyle O'Reilly beat Adam Cole 2 or 3 weeks, like 3 or 4 weeks prior to that at Final Battle. So Kyle O'Reilly had 0 title defenses on that ROH run. It was literally just storyline stuff because Adam Cole said it. If you become champion, I will do everything in my power to make sure you never become ROH World Champion, and if you do, I will be the one to take it from you. And he did.
I was thinking about that because I've listened to a few different podcasts with Kyle O'Reilly, interviews and stuff like that, and he was talking about being in Japan with Fish and Cole and all that. It was Red Dragon winning the tag titles in Japan. Losing the title to Adam Cole. I had him swapped.
Oh, it happens, man. Like there's a lot of history stuff that I get swapped all the time.
Oh yeah,
all the time. When you watch as much stuff as what we do,
right?
But Vengeance Day was great, really fun. I'm excited to see where NXT is going next. I'm excited to see where AEW is going next as well.
Definitely.
But that is everything for this recap, guys. So a little thing I want to bring up before we go off air is that apparently we seem to be starting a little rite of passage here on Wrestle Geeks, where everybody's first show seems to be a pay-per-view of some kind. Jeff and I's first show had Impact Hard to Kill on it, and then the first time he took point was the Royal Rumble, And then I recorded with Jordan Talbot going over No Surrender, and that was his first time recording with us, so it's really interesting. And now we have you for Vengeance Day. This is something we're going to have to keep up as a tradition at this point.
Just bringing a new member every time there's a pay-per-view.
That's a lot of coordinating.
The thing with me though is I wouldn't personally classify myself or Jordan really as pay-per-views, because mine was a takeover. It wasn't available on pay-per-view. It was only through the network, and No Surrender was an Impact Plus special, not a pay-per-view as well. So,
hey man, they were both 3 hours.
Fair enough. So is Raw though.
Both 3. So is Raw. Yeah, which is why we don't cover it. I'm not even kidding. People can beg me in the comments for Raw and SmackDown coverage. I will tell you right now, personally, me, Trevor Firth, will not be on those shows. I will cover anything and everything else, but I will not be covering anything other than NXT for WWE. But thank you, everybody. And I want to thank Bill, of course, for joining us and welcome him to the team. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below. We're still trying to get our first 100 subscribers. Once you get your first 100 subscribers, the YouTube algorithms can be a little kinder to you. So please help us out with that, and have a really good night, everybody.